They say, hey, Dad, you're really, really, really smart. Why don't you act a little more presidential?
I think she's growing up.
I think you did a good job.
She's terrific.
Ivanka's great. You love Ivanka? I love Ivanka.
She speaks a lot of languages, but she's got this, and having that is important after the first date.
Melania, she'll be a great first lady. I called up my wife, Melania. I called up Ivanka. I said, I got a problem.
Donald gets things done.
Ivanka just had a baby, by the way. I'm very proud of that.
My father and our next president, Donald J. Trump.
That's sort of why I'm doing this.
It's a Trump's life, and it's a special On the Record. You will hear from Melania and Ivanka Trump, yes, Donald Trump's wife and older daughter. They are the two women who know Trump better than anyone else. But what role does each play in his historic presidential campaign? And what are their plans if they become America's first family? In just moments, you'll go inside Trump Tower, hear from former supermodel Melania Trump, and discover what it's like to live the Trump life. First, we start with Ivanka.
As a young girl growing up, my father always told me that I could do anything that I'd set my mind to. He meant it.
She's a mother, a celebrity, a former runway model, TV star, best-selling author, and business mogul. Ivanka Trump is living the Trump life.
She did a good job. So I should not say, Ivanka, you're fired, right? I promise. I promise.
Born in Manhattan, Ivanka grew up right in the heart of it all, Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. As a teenager, Ivanka started modeling, walking the runway, and gracing the cover of 17 magazine. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, she entered the high-stakes world of real estate and launched her own hugely successful lifestyle brand. She starred alongside her father in TV's hit show The Apprentice. At the family company, she's a top executive and has overseen hugely successful deals like Trump Doral in Miami and the Trump Old Post Office Hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Washington has never had a really luxury hotel, so this will be it.
She has a husband and 3 young children at home in New York, and if that's not enough to keep her busy, she's out hitting the trail for her father.
I could not be more proud tonight to present to you and to all of America my father and our next president, Donald J. Trump.
And despite her crazy schedule, On the Record made a visit to the building she lives in the heart of Midtown Manhattan to talk to Ivanka Trump. Do you read the papers and read the internet and do all that kind of stuff?
Well, at this point, it's actually almost impossible to read everything that's written. So I read the papers always in the sense of keeping up with the news, but I try to read the papers less in terms of their editorializing on my father, the campaign, and sort of all the noise. I think I've experienced an extreme bias in terms of coverage and reporting, so I try to distance myself from that and really try to just stay on top of current events and make it a little less personal for myself and read a little less of what I read a little less from news sources about my family and my father specifically.
You know, I've been around politics for quite a long time, and so I get to meet all the politicians over the years, and I'm always struck by how when I meet them in person, they're often so different how they're portrayed on television. Even Secretary Clinton, you know, I've traveled overseas 8 times when she was Secretary of State, and then I watch things on TV, and you know, it's amazing how different people are in person, and I can't figure out, you know, how to correctly portray people. And so the only thing I can think of is your father correctly portrayed?
Well, I think he's correctly portrayed in the sense that people know he's very authentic. My father says what he means, and he means what he says, and that's very rare in politics. But he's incorrectly portrayed often by the media. My father is incredibly warm and compassionate and loyal and funny, and anyone who knows him knows that to be true. And I think that often is not portrayed. You see the strength, you see the determination, you see the fact that he's tireless in terms of his energy. But I don't think you see that more compassionate side of him, as certainly not in the way mainstream media portrays him. I know that side of him. I'm his daughter. I've seen it my whole life. His employees know that side of him. But I don't think that's portrayed to the American people. But I think that's, one of the amazing things about this election cycle is that my father has the ability to bypass that narrative and go directly to the people with his message, and he's doing that. Whether it's the arenas he's filling or whether it's his use of social media as a way to communicate directly and in an unedited way. And that's been incredibly powerful for him.
Well, I've had private conversation with him, not much of one, but when I've had interviews with him, we've talked for a few minutes after, and I always think he's different in person, just like, it's so different in person than when cameras roll for anybody in this business.
Yeah, so if you speak to anyone who knows him, they adore him and appreciate him and know all the attributes I relayed a minute ago to be true about him. But so I think that's the side you don't see in terms of his public portrayal. I also think that the media is reticent to highlight and showcase his success as an entrepreneur, as an employer, as a business builder. And maybe that's why a lot of people in the private sector don't run for public office. It's easy to tear somebody down or attempt to, but he's created jobs for tens of thousands of people. We have a thriving global company and brand with almost no debt and owns some of the most important and iconic assets anywhere in the world. So, and his career has spanned many decades, and he is today stronger, and our company is stronger than it's ever been. That's a great accomplishment. So I think it's hard for me, being in the business, to see the media not appreciate that fact and focus on circumstances 30 years ago during recessions and highlight those examples and not illustrate the company we have today that was built on his vision, his strength, and his leadership.
Your father's very active personally on social media. Your thoughts about his Twitter? I mean, it's gotten him into some hot water.
Twitter does get him into hot water every once in a while. Not what he writes, but retweets. So I think he said that he's going to do that less frequently, to retweet things that other people write. But
who got him on Twitter? Has he always been on Twitter?
He's been on Twitter for several years now, and I think to see the growth of his Facebook channels and his other social media channels has been amazing. But it's also been a very valuable tool for his campaign, because it allows him to bring his message unfiltered, unedited, directly to the people that he's speaking to. So it's given him a voice that isn't controlled just by the media. It allows him to communicate directly, and I think that's been enormously valuable.
It's been very effective in terms of marketing and getting his word up, but it's also sometimes he's made some blunders. Do you give him hell when he says things that you might think might go a little too far?
He is on the road all the time. He is not shy about talking to the media. He's not afraid. You ask him a question, he'll give you an answer. A lot of people sort of hide behind their campaigns and their organizations and try to avoid putting themselves in positions where they're asked difficult questions. He doesn't do that. So he wants to be honest with the American people. He wants them to know who he is. He wants to communicate freely, and he does that. And he does that on social media, and it's been enormously effective for him. So.
But what about the problems? I mean, you can see that
that happens. But I think that people recognize that. I think the authenticity of that balances out the times that occasionally it goes awry. In a lot of politicians' campaigns, they don't write their tweets. They're managed by a team of 50 people who are testing and polling every word. That's not him. That's not the leader he wants to be.
And Ivanka isn't the only superstar in the family. Here's Melania Trump.
She's an incredible woman. She's an incredible mother. She loves her son Baron so much, and just really something special.
Take a look at Melania Trump, a former Slovenian model, a mother, a successful businesswoman, and married to presidential candidate Donald Trump.
When you attack him, he will punch back 10 times harder.
In 1996, Melania moved to New York City, an immigrant from Slovenia who speaks 5 languages.
Big, small, beautiful.
In New York, she launched a modeling career and before long met her future husband, real estate mogul Donald Trump.
We met in New York 1996 in September. We met at the fashion party.
In New York, she launches a successful line on QVC and shows up on the cover of numerous magazines, even Vogue. So what's next on her resume? Well, it could be First Lady.
She will make an unbelievable First Lady.
He's a fighter. And if you elect him to be your president, he will fight for you and for our country.
On the Record got inside access to Melania and Donald's luxury penthouse on the top floor of Trump Tower. So what does Melania Trump think about the campaign life? Is the media fair to your husband?
Not always. Not always.
In what way?
They're not fair to me too.
In what way? In what way?
They saying stuff that they're not true. They don't say the truth. They write stuff that they don't want to give him a credit. They don't want to say how smart he is, what he will do, what he can accomplish. They don't want to give him a credit.
Why? Why do you think that?
Because maybe he's outsider. He's not part of Washington. He speaks his mind. He doesn't sweep under the rug. He says as he thinks and what needs to be said, because he's not the politician. He's not into just talking. He's a doer. He gets the thing done.
You got married down in Florida?
Yes, in Palm Beach, in the church.
And Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and the president was there.
Yes, they were there.
What are your thoughts about that?
Well, now it's different time. That was in 2005. Was different time. We were private citizens. He was not running for the office, as he said. He was friends and got along with many people. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
Have you ever socialized with them besides the wedding with the Clintons?
No.
And you have to see this. Melania Trump takes you on a grand tour of her luxury penthouse in the heart of New York City. Straight ahead. Plus, she's a mother, a successful businesswoman, and she is helping her father on the campaign trail. So what is a day in the life of Ivanka Trump? She will tell you. That's next.
My father is.
She's raising 3 children, holds 2 full-time jobs, and her father is running for president. So just how does Ivanka Trump do it all? All right, tell me your day. You're a mother, you're a wife, you're a businesswoman, you're in a campaign. What time do you wake up in the morning?
Early.
What's
it keeps getting earlier.
What is it?
Tell me. I have 3 children now, all under the age of 5, and my youngest is 4 months old. So with each child, I think I wake up around 30 minutes earlier. So now I'm at like the 5 o'clock mark, but that's it. there's a line in the sand. But so I wake up at around 5, and I also wake up numerous times beforehand because obviously my 4-month-old is not sleeping from 7 p.m. until that point in time. So I just don't sleep very often anymore, but I try to wake up and get myself fully ready for the day before my kids wake up. So my oldest 2, my 5-year-old and my 2.5-year-old, will normally wake up between 6:30 and 7. So I like to shower, exercise on the days that I do that during the week, read the newspapers, really sort of take that time for myself and be fully ready to roll. So when my kids wake up, I can have really focused, dedicated time with them before I drop them off at school or drop them off at the bus and start my day.
So what time do you walk out the door usually?
It depends. It depends on the time of year when school starts or camp starts. months, but normally around 7:45, 8 o'clock.
And what time do you walk back in the house usually at night?
So I always make it home for, well, not always, but 95% of the time I make it home for dinner. So I like to be home by 6:30. I have dinner with the kids, I bathe them, I read books to them, and I put them to bed. I try to put them to bed between 7:30 and 8, and then I get back to work.
Back to work, what, phone calls, emails?
Phone calls. So basically my time in the office, because I like to be home in the evenings and because I prioritize sort of the tales of the day with my children, both the morning and the evening, I try to make my time in the office incredibly productive, and I don't do things there that I could do remotely. So it's pretty infrequent that I'll sit down and answer emails. I'll return phone calls which need to be returned during business hours. I take meetings. I walk around the office and interact with people. So I really spend my time in the office having more sort of interpersonal moments, and then I spend my time very late at night responding to emails and dealing with logistics. Obviously, having 3 kids, that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. All the logistics of managing their lives as opposed to my own. So.
And you have a brand, though, too, right?
I do.
So when do you work on your brand?
I think about how I balance my work at the Trump Organization and the company I've built, which is really an amazing business that I'm deeply passionate about. So I think about the balance of those two things really based on prioritization and where I need to be in a given moment. So sometimes, when we're finishing up construction of the old post office building, that requires incredible focus and attention. Other times, I'll have moments where I'm more focused on my brand and building that business. So I think it's the same as being a parent. Where you just try to navigate and be where you need to be when you need to be there.
Okay, now let's fold in the campaign. You're working on the I assume that you're part of the campaign as well, right?
Well, I'm a daughter.
Okay,
so
right.
I guess I'm certainly around the campaign. I have no official role within the campaign.
Do you get phone calls from your father?
Well, from my father, of course, yeah.
How many phone calls a day do you usually get from your father?
Quite a lot. So I call him a lot. He'll call me a lot.
6?
We're in the habit of this because we worked together for 10 years plus at the Trump Organization, and we'd speak. I used to be able to just walk into his office multiple times a day, and now he's traveling so much for the campaign and traveling all over the country. So we end up speaking a lot more telephonically, and we spend a lot of time together on the weekends in New Jersey. So we see each other all the time. We're incredibly close.
And no one knows Donald Trump better than his wife Melania and daughter Ivanka. So what's it like to live the Trump life? Well, Ivanka and Melania go on the record to talk about life inside Trump Tower. That's next.
Live from America. Here's what's happening. The battle for Ohio is heating up, with both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump converging on the Buckeye state. The two made competing Labor Day pitches just miles from each other in Cleveland. No Republican has won the White House without winning Ohio, and Trump is trying to overcome some splintering of the state party, which was supportive of Ohio Governor John Kasich during the presidential primary. Tropical storm Hermine lingering in the Atlantic Ocean, bringing strong winds and rough waves along the East Coast. The storm closing down beaches in New York and New Jersey on Labor Day. Visitors were allowed onto the beach, but told to stay out of the water. A coastal flood advisory is in effect until early Tuesday morning. That's a look at news this hour. I'm Kelly Wright. We take you back now to On the Record.
Today, Ivanka Trump is a mother, a business mogul, high-powered executive, and one of her father's closest advisors on the campaign trail. But how did she get there? Here's Ivanka of what it's like to grow up Trump. I'm curious, why do you think your father has 5 good kids? One's a child, but he's got 4 adults. Why does he have 5?
I think about parenting a lot more, being a parent now myself, and I think I appreciate the job that my mother and my father did in raising my siblings and I much more today than I did 10 years ago, for sure, because it takes a lot of work, and it's really hard to raise children with a strong moral compass and with passion and determination and compassion and good values. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about how I can instill those same things in my own children. And I don't know what the recipe is. I hope I do a good job with it. But I will say my parents, they really focused on ensuring that we weren't entitled and were grateful every day for the good fortune that we had in our lives. And maybe that's a point of differentiation. I know a lot of children who were born into very privileged circumstances, and they don't seem to really appreciate just how lucky and just how fortunate they are. And my parents really instilled that in us very early on, that to whom much is given, much is expected, and we have to wake up every day and be grateful for the life that we have, and try to also work really hard to make life better for those around us.
Who was the disciplinarian growing up, your mother or your father?
They both were in different ways, and they both had different techniques. My mother grew up in communist Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia at the time. She was very strict, for sure. My father would let me get away with a little bit more, but I knew exactly when I'd gone too far. So it was, they were a very good team in this regard, but they worked exactly like that as a team when they were married, and as importantly, when they were not. So they communicated clearly with one another. They were very consistent, annoyingly consistent, because we certainly tried to take advantage of dividing and conquering with our parents. But they were great parents. And I think about one of the things that was very true my whole life with my father is that he was working very hard. When I was younger, he was in the early stages of building his business and building his company, and it meant long hours, and it meant that he wasn't home for dinner every single night, but he was always available to us. And that's something I think about a lot with my own children. Whenever that phone rings, if I'm not there at pickup, I'm picking up my phone regardless of the meeting I'm in to hear my kids tell me a story about their day or a class that they just completed. And my father did that for me. And at the time, I didn't realize how special that was, but now looking back, I used to walk into literally a janitor closet where a payphone was at the school I went to here in New York, the Chapin School. And there was a payphone, and I used to call collect to his office. And he would pick up that phone, he would put me on speakerphone, he would tell everyone in the room, who would often be major titans of business, heads of state, whoever. He would tell them that his daughter was on the line and she was calling from school, and he'd ask me about a project or if I was having a good day. Oftentimes I'd have girlfriends with me, and he'd ask them how I was doing in a class he knew I wasn't doing so well in. So it was, but that accessibility and that availability led me to know that regardless of circumstance, I was his priority, and my siblings were his priority. And I think that's an important message. I think all children should know that about their parents.
Well, she's living the Trump life, and now Melania Trump takes you inside the Trump penthouse in Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Before he decided he's going to run for president, what was your day like? I mean, what time did Donald get home from work?
Normally he goes in the office in the morning, wake up very early, goes to the office, and he's back by 7 o'clock. So we try to have a dinner together.
He doesn't drink, right?
Doesn't drink.
And your son is how old?
He will be 10 soon.
Who's the disciplinarian, you or Donald?
I am. I'm raising my child. I'm here with him all the time. I'm raising him. I'm teaching him values and morals and preparing him for adult life, because one day he will have wings, as we say, and he will fly on his own, and I just want to raise him the right way. I don't want nanny raising him, so he needs a parent at home.
And here's some pictures, actually.
Yes, he was 3 weeks old, and and then here. It was like almost a year, and we have a few pictures.
Are you tough?
Yes, I'm tough.
You're a tough parent?
I'm fair. I'm fair. I let him be who he is. He's my child, but I don't want to change him. He is who he is, and I try to give him traditions and values and morals into his life, but I don't try to change him. I like that he has his own yes and his own no.
There's a perception by some that Donald's got a rough reputation with women. He's got rough language with women. I don't know how else to say it. What do you want to say to that?
I say he treats equally everybody. You're a woman, you're a man. He treats everybody equally, and he will tell you what it's on his heart. So, and he will tell you what he thinks. He doesn't hold back, and he's real. He's a real person.
Is he funny?
He's funny. Has a great sense of humor. He likes to have a good time, and he loves to get together with family and friends.
What annoys him? What does he get mad about? What does he like?
Stupidity.
Really? Like
yes,
what?
And I do too. Just if something is not done the right way, and especially if you tell somebody and they don't do it, and he likes to be the right things done, and he just doesn't like it. He doesn't like somebody who is not competent to do it.
Who's more likely to apologize first in a fight, you or Donald?
We don't have fights.
You've never had a fight?
No.
Never have an argument?
We don't have fights.
I know, but you don't disagree on things?
We disagree, but that's okay. That's very good in the relationship. I'm my own, with my own brains, he's with his own brains. So.
But it never gets heated?
No.
You've never had an argument?
No. I tell him my way, and he accepts that, and I tell him, what I think, and he's the same. He thinks what he thinks.
Well, the rest of us argue a little bit. I got to tell you, at least I think maybe not.
No.
So these are great pictures. This is your son?
This is Baron, and this was for the Halloween a few years ago. This is on my wedding night, and at home, and Baron and Donald going for baseball. So some
and
fun.
This
is Donald's dad, Fred.
Is that Donald with him?
Yes, that's Donald when he graduated. So, and his mother is right here.
And of course, there he is on the cover of the magazine.
Yeah, these are my parents, my mom and dad.
Are your parents still living?
Yes, they're here.
They're here?
They're here a lot, yes. They love to spend time with my son, and he loves them, and now it's a perfect age too. They are really close together.
And of course, it helps with all the traveling too.
Yes, of course.
And will Ivanka Trump follow her father's footsteps and get into politics? Her answer, that's next. Plus, is Melania ready to be First Lady? And is it even a job she wants? On the Record takes you back to Trump Tower straight ahead. Ivanka Trump, she's been a model, a real estate mogul, a celebrity, and a businesswoman. So what does she think about politics? About 2 years ago we talked, and I asked you about whether your father had run for president. You said something. You said a number of things, but you said that the political life is a challenge. Has it sort of borne out what you thought it would be?
I think that would be an understatement. It is a very hard thing to do, to run for elected office, and I think most people realized that challenge, but living it, and especially when you're talking about the highest level of elected office and arguably the most powerful position in the world, there is tremendous scrutiny, there's tremendous viciousness, but there's also amazing love and support. So it's these extremes that are remarkable. I think one of the most incredible things about this journey is the ability to travel to areas of this country and see my father fill these arenas with people who are so hopeful and excited and passionate about the message he has for them and about his ability to fulfill their hopes for this country. So that's the beauty. That's something that I can't even communicate in words how emotional and powerful that experience is for me. And then there's the other side, which is the viciousness of the attacks, and that's a hard thing as a daughter of a candidate to experience. But my father's strong and he's tough, and it's probably harder on me than it is on him. And but it's been an amazing journey.
You know, I've talked to a lot of children over the years, of politicians. It's always harder on the kids, always harder than the candidates. The candidates, you know, it's like, you know, water off a duck's back, but the kids, they take it hard.
It is challenging. You know, I can handle differences of opinion. It's harder, I think, labeling and accusations, and when I hear things said that I know to be false, that's more difficult for me. At the same time, you know, the comfort I take is obviously knowing the man and knowing my father, and the fact that I know his strength through this process, and he's a great source of reassurance to me. You know, when I get upset by what I hear.
Do you think he wants to be president? I mean, does he really want it in the pit of his stomach?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
I mean, because I can't figure out why anybody wants the job, quite frankly.
It's a very difficult job, would be almost the understatement of a century. But, you know, my father can't stand incompetence, and he has a very clear and strong vision for initially the future of his company and his business, for the family he wanted to create, and now in a much more macro sense for this country. So it wouldn't have been his choice to have actually been the person doing this. He always refers to himself as really being the messenger for a movement of the people, but he felt that the country was headed in the wrong direction, and he wanted to step up and do the right thing. And, you know, it's a very selfless thing to run for public office. It is a very hard path, and especially hard if you're an outsider who's not part of the establishment. And he's done a remarkable job, and I think he set forth a vision that people all over this country believe in, and he knows that he'll be an unbelievable creator of jobs, and he'll be tremendous from a security perspective. And you know, to me, those are the most important issues of the day: national security, of course, and prosperity for this country and for the people who live here.
Stepping outside, focusing on you, in a million years, would you ever want to run for office now that you see what it's like?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. It is, it's tough. You know, I think I appreciate very much the platform and the ability to impact and create change at the highest level. You know, there are certain issues I'm so deeply passionate about as a woman in the workforce. You know, gender equality,
but no politics for you.
Is so important. But yeah, no, but running for office is not something I want to be doing. No, no. My father always taught me to never say never. But the last time I said no, but never say never, the headline was Ivanka wants to run for office. I'm just going to give you a no, but you know, it's been inspiring to see what he's been able to do.
And Donald Trump's run for the White House means the Trumps could be America's next first family. What does Melania think about possibly becoming First Lady? Would you be a good First Lady, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Why?
I'm perfectionist. I like to do things perfect, and I like to put myself 100% into it in what I do. So if the American people would select my husband to be a president, I would support him, and I would support United States. I would support people. I will help them. I will work with women and children. They are our future. We need to take care of them. We need to guide them. We need to be the guidance to them. They need us. Children need us. And also I'm involved in many, many charities already. So I will pick one or two that are dear to my heart and work on them 100%.
I know you do a lot of charities. Is there one that sort of stands out that where your heart really is with the charities?
Make-A-Wish Foundation, Boys Club of New York, American Red Cross. It's a fantastic organization, helps all around the world and also first here in the States.
That Make-A-Wish is pretty amazing.
Make-A-Wish is fantastic.
Tough on those children.
Very tough.
They deal with so much.
Yes.
Have you ever been in the White House?
I never been there.
Never been there?
No.
Your husband's restoring that hotel that you and I actually, we spoke before at that hotel.
Yes. Beautiful place, and he's doing fantastic job, under budget. It will open soon. He's doing really, that kind of mind he wants to put in America. He wants to build America stronger and better than it ever was.
And Ivanka, Eric, and Donald Jr. are all living the Trump life. You'll hear from all three. That's next.
Make cars, made plastics that make them lighter.
I'm incredibly honored to be part of this journey of which he's invited me, Don, Ivanka, Tiffany, Melania, my beautiful wife Laura, our entire family to play such an integral part.
To be able to work with him, to be able to work with my brother or sister on a daily basis, I guess we've gotten lucky because we've done it right. It's just incredible. Our father's put tremendous trust in us, tremendous love.
There is a great deal of love in the Trump family. That is our bond, and that is our strength.
I mean, I really have an amazing family. Ivanka's one of my best friends in the world, as is Don, and we couldn't be more proud of our father.
With their father running for the White House, what role are Donald Trump's children playing at the family company? On the Record's interview with Ivanka continues. So tell me about the business. You've got the two brothers in the business,
Yes.
and of course your father. How do you describe the two brothers' jobs and your jobs?
Well, we all work very collaboratively. It's a family business. It's a very large family business, but it's still a family business. So we really decided early on, and this has been very core to how we operate, that as a collective we could do so much more than any one of us could do individually.
So it's not like you have one project, Eric has another project, and Don has a third project.
That has evolved over time, where we take ownership of specific things, where we have strengths in certain areas that or projects that we'll just naturally gravitate towards. So the old post office in Washington, D.C. is a project I'm deeply passionate about, and I've been spearheading. But we each have areas of responsibility, of course, but it's still very collaborative. So I always know what Eric's doing, what Don's doing, and vice versa. So we're very much a team, even though obviously since the organization is so large, we take on different functions and different roles depending on the project or the circumstance. But we're all very focused on building the business. We're now running it, as my father is dedicating himself to something really bigger and more important, which is, the future of this country. So it's amazing to be able to do that and to be able to take care of the business. My father put so much energy and effort and passion into building and to make sure to keep it healthy and vibrant and strong for the thousands of incredible employees that we have working for us here in America and across the globe.
And coming up, you'll hear from Donald Trump and what he thinks about his family. They're living the Trump life, private jets, Manhattan penthouses, and a family full of successful models, business moguls, and now a presidential candidate. Here's what Donald Trump has to say about his family.
In this journey, I'm so lucky to have at my side my wife, Melania, and my wonderful children, Don, Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Barron. You will always be my greatest source of pride and joy. I want to thank my wife and my family. It's an incredible family. I didn't need to do this. I had a very nice life. Beautiful family, beautiful business. I built this incredible company. I didn't need to do this. It's not easy, believe me. I didn't need to do it. But I felt I had to give back to our wonderful country, which has been so good to me and to my family. Melania, my kids, they're not kids anymore, but they're kids as far as I'm concerned. They'll always be my kids. It's been an unbelievable event. I came down with Melania on that escalator, and I want to tell you, everybody loves Melania. They love Melania. She's a good person, I'll tell you that. She's smart.
Thank you for being with us. And we wanted to note, we have offered a special similar to this one to the Clinton campaign. So far, they have turned down all of our offers. We'll see you right here on the Fox News Channel on weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And what do you think of the Trump life? Go to my Facebook page and let me know. Good night.